Welcome to 2020 on ID. I'm John Quinones. Sometimes it seems in our digital age that there isn't much that is still private. But you probably have never seen anything quite like these two stories, captured on tape while they were happening. First, a young woman in college with everything to live for, including a devoted boyfriend. And then one snowy night, it all went wrong. Cynthia McFadden first brought us this story in 2005 about making all the wrong moves and a desperate race against time.
January 4, 2005. A storm is approaching eastern Nebraska. Out in the storm, trying to get home, a young couple. 20-year-old Janelle Hornickle, a college junior, a sorority girl, and her boyfriend, Michael Wamsley. They've known each other since the 7th grade. By 7:30 that night, the blinding snowstorm is making driving treacherous. Police in the small town of Geneva pull over Janelle's black pickup. Michael is driving. They're stopped for failing to signal. This is the actual video from the police dashboard camera. Michael tells the officer they're lost, looking for Pacific Street.
Pacific in Geneva or Omaha? Omaha.
They're trying to get home to their apartment in Omaha, but home is 120 miles away in the raging blizzard. The officer gives them a warning ticket and directions back to the highway.
Turn left.
The first of a series of missed opportunities to avert the crisis that lies ahead. The next time authorities will hear from the couple is 5 hours later. The pickup is spun off the road. Janelle makes a desperate, frightened call to 911. It is midnight. Mark Conray is director of Omaha's 911 center.
When the first call came in, it made no sense. It made absolutely no sense. Gibberish, nonsense is what she was describing.
911, what's emergency?
Hi, there's a lot of Mexicans and African Americans, and they're all dressed up in like these close outfits, and they're moving all the vehicles. Do I just keep driving back and forth until I can get out, or why won't they let us out?
And they're taking the cars apart and putting them in the trees.
Yes, unless the owner is there moving their car for them.
What was going on? Had the couple had an accident, been injured? Were they disoriented? Could this be a prank?
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to start running and get out of the vehicle. I don't know where else to go.
The police are on the way.
Okay. Thank you.
They say they're at their apartment at 75th and Poppleton in Omaha. But 911 operators know the cell phone signal is coming from neighboring Sarpy County, not Omaha. As this satellite image shows, the couple's apartment is near downtown. But Michael and Janelle are actually 23 miles away in a desolate and remote area where their truck went off the road. Soon, the couple makes another tragic mistake. They leave the truck behind, which still has a half a tank of gas, warm clothes, and his cell phone in the back seat. The temperature is 13 degrees and dropping. 1:05 a.m., 30 minutes after the first call.
911, what is your emergency?
We need some assistance right now.
This time, Michael makes the call.
Where are you?
It's an old abandoned pond, lake front area where they have cattle, and an old gravel pump set up. And we need some assistance right now.
Okay, I can't help you if I don't know where you are.
Ma'am, no, I'm not lying to you.
Sir, I don't think that you're lying to me, but we're going to need to do more work on where you are because we've been to 75th and Poppleton, and we cannot find you. Okay?
Because they need to come further south. Further south. Open the gates.
The gates to what?
There's no gate at 75th and Poppleton. There's apartments. There was nothing that made sense.
Michael and Janelle aren't making sense. They're hallucinating, paranoid, and confused. The former high school cheerleader, the star student, and the boy of her dreams are high on crystal meth. Investigators believe she for the first time. Omaha dispatchers send another police unit to the couple's apartment. And of course, they find nothing.
Ma'am, my pickup was stolen. I had to go find it. Please help me. My girlfriend is really freezing.
This is not a hallucination. If rescuers can't find them soon, they will both freeze to death. Janelle has only jeans and a sweater. Neither is wearing a coat. When the 911 call abruptly ends, the concerned operator tries to call back Janelle's cell phone. but only gets her voicemail.
Hi, this is Janelle. Please leave a message.
We have to keep trying. We don't have any other choice.
Hi, this is Janelle.
The haunting, happy voice of Janelle.
Please leave a message.
By this time, several operators in 3 counties are trying to figure out where the couple might actually be.
Summers County Sheriff.
Hi, have you talked to a Michael tonight at all that doesn't know where he's at?
Half a dozen units are already out searching. Patty Viberg is one of the 911 dispatchers.
We guessed pretty much they were probably on drugs, but we were not going to assume that. You know, it was still the possibility of head injury, still the possibility of hypothermia, even if they were on drugs. They needed help.
But Nebraska does not have the most up-to-date 911 GPS tracking system for cell phones, so operators cannot pinpoint their location. 1:45 a.m. It has been an hour and 15 minutes since the first call.
Where are you at?
There's someone out here by the lake.
First, when I talked to him, I wanted him to get back to the car. At least that was shelter.
It's on the road over on his top.
Oh, it's on its top.
Yes,
Okay.
I need help.
Then he said, well, no, the car's on its top. And I said, well, that's not a good idea. It could be leaking gasoline. You know, it might not be a safe place for them to go back to.
But the truck isn't on its top. It's just off the road.
Mike, you've got to help me help you, okay?
I know, I'm trying, but...
Okay, so we got to just kind of take a deep breath, and let's figure out where you're at, okay?
Michael describes seeing these cranes, scrap metal, a lake, a sand pit, but also keeps insisting he's near his apartment.
Go straight north. Just please. Hurry.
Okay, we're hurrying. We're getting there as fast as we can. We don't know where you're at. Is that your girlfriend?
Yeah.
Let me talk to her, okay?
I asked him to give the phone to Janelle because he wasn't making any sense.
All right, do you have any idea where you're at?
Can I talk to our papa right now?
Investigators say they could be anywhere in a 100-square-mile radius, and Patty Viberg knows there is little time left.
I knew I wasn't going to get anywhere with Janelle because she was not coherent at that time.
There's people on the shack that are flashing the light on top of the shack.
Oh, there's people on the shack?
Yes.
Go talk to them. Go to the people in the shack.
We tried. They won't talk. We tried to ask for help. We begged.
Okay, tell them that the police are on the phone and hand them your phone. Okay?
I had him call out to him. Still optimism. Hopefully, maybe there was somebody there. You know, never second guess.
Please, anyone, help me. Come on. It's too cold.
Are they responding to you?
No, I don't think they speak English. I don't know any English or any other languages.
It felt to me like we were getting somewhere, and then he'd back up into hallucinations again.
And Janelle is getting worse.
Honey, come on, get up.
Is she starting to lay down?
She's breathing. Please, you over here now.
Okay, Mike, I want to help you so bad, hon. I want to find out where you're at.
Come here, baby.
Stay with us.
While driving through a raging Nebraska blizzard, a young woman and her boyfriend have spun off the road and made a terrible mistake. They've left their warm car and outdoor clothing. Now they're trying to find their way home on foot, and the temperature is dropping fast. Once again, Cynthia McFadden.
20-year-old Janelle Hornickle and her boyfriend Michael Wamsley are lost in a snowstorm. They've been wandering 2 hours in the frigid cold. Minus 10 degrees with the wind chill, calling 911 for help.
Turn 75th to West Center Road and on that area.
Mike.
No, that's the best I can give you. That's all I've got. But I'm freezing. And my girlfriend is freezing. And
That's why we want to help you, Mike.
oh, then please.
I gotta get him to quit crying. I've got to get him to help me help him. And he just couldn't.
Couldn't because they are high on crystal meth and hallucinating. How did this happen? Where did they get the drug? And who are these young people now in danger of freezing to death? In some ways, Janelle Hornickle is the last person you'd expect to use crystal meth.
Yeah, she did everything possible. She was in sororities. She was in a fraternity. She worked full time.
Danielle Schutz, Julie Prentice, and Jennifer Hofferber were Janelle's roommates at Creighton University. They agreed on almost everything except how to set the thermometer.
She hated the cold. She would always turn off the heater.
We had heater wars.
Yeah, because we'd always turn it down, and she'd wait till I went to sleep and crank it up because she hated being cold.
Creighton was a long way from the family farm in rural Ord, Nebraska, where Janelle was the youngest of 4 children. In high school, she was an honor student and athlete. In the drama club, sang in the choir, and was a cheerleader. Janelle seemed to have it all, including a devoted boyfriend, Michael Wamsley.
He was great. They were always together. Janelle would get up at 5 in the morning every morning to talk to him on the phone before he went to work. And
that was funny.
He was the last person she talked to at night.
Janelle and Michael moved in together to that apartment in Omaha at 75th and Poppleton.
I think Janelle was his first love, to tell the truth.
Chris Wamsley is Michael's older brother.
She was his own personal little princess. He was going to give her the life that he thought she deserved.
Janelle's sisters, Jan and Kathy, brother Steve, and parents Twyla and Kent liked Mike too.
He was very polite, very quiet. Very scared of us.
He was going to support her, or try to, till she got through college. And then she was going to support him so he could go back to school, which, can't fault that.
But there was something they didn't know, something Michael's brother suspected, that Michael was using drugs and even confronted him about using crystal meth.
I told him, I go, whatever you're on, Michael, think about it in the long run. And this is about Thanksgiving, sometime in there. I go, it's time to stop. We're old enough, the kid stuff's over. He agreed with me.
We've talked to Mike's brother, who has said that he was concerned that Mike was using drugs.
No, she always said that Mike didn't drink and Mike didn't do drugs like some others.
I've talked to the brother several times, and he's never mentioned that to me.
So I didn't know it either.
Maybe trying to protect you.
Janelle's mother says she can't imagine that her daughter was taking crystal meth. In fact, she took these pictures of Janelle early on New Year's Eve, just a few days before she got lost.
There was no signs of anything. They had normal sleep patterns. They played games with the kids, board games with the kids. There was nothing.
They were so happy. Nothing wrong that we knew of.
It's later that very night that things went terribly wrong.
We believe they proceeded down this road.
Sarpy County Captain Raleigh Yost led the investigation into Janelle and Michael's disappearance.
We went back and retraced their steps from New Year's Eve. We know where they were. We know parties they were at. There was drugs at those party locations.
And Captain Yost says it is possible that night was the first time Janelle had ever tried crystal meth.
We have talked to a lot of acquaintances of hers. No one had said anything about meth in her background.
January 4th, Janelle and Michael are on their way back to Omaha. Still high, police believe, heading into that storm. That routine traffic stop now seen more clearly in hindsight.
We believe both of them were awake for several days prior to that, which is another thing that meth does to you. It doesn't let you sleep.
It would be 5 hours later that their truck goes off the road and they go wandering into the storm, dialing 911. At about 2 a.m., the lost couple stumble upon a small shack.
I want you to stay in that booth. Wherever you do, you're going to stay in that booth. But I need for you to be honest with me, Mike, okay?
Yes.
I need for you to be honest.
Yeah.
Have you done any kind of drugs tonight?
No, I haven't done no drugs.
Because we can't prove it if you have.
I don't.
But it would help me to know if you did.
I don't do this, man. I really don't.
But she knows he's been hallucinating.
Well, how come all these 200 people that you see they can't help you?
Ma'am, I don't think they speak English.
What?
Was it so strongly controlling him that he couldn't be honest with me? It wasn't Michael. It was the drug.
Then, almost 2 hours after first calling 911, Michael says he and Janelle are leaving the shelter of the shack. Again, the call ends abruptly. Another 911 operator tracks down Janelle's mother.
They called me at 2:30 in the morning when she was lost because I owned her cell phone.
But we don't know exactly where they're at is the problem.
No. They lived in Omaha. It was, what is she doing out in a snowstorm like this? She knows better than that. And I kept saying, I don't know whether to kick her or hug her when we find her.
How alarmed were you by this phone call? Did you think, well, this is just a misunderstanding?
I figured they'd stay in the pickup and that they was just lost.
They wanted to know if they might be on drugs. And we said, no way that we know of. Just no way. And I guess we were wrong.
Janelle and Michael have been out in below freezing temperatures for almost 4 hours now. The two are young and healthy. Janelle, an athlete. Mike works outside as a landscaper. But how much longer can they survive? When we come back, while authorities desperately search, Michael and Janelle try to find their way back to the truck.
I've just escaped. Please come get us. We're trying to find you. You're out walking again?
Stay with us.
Nebraska authorities are locked in a race against time to find a young couple lost in a blizzard and high on crystal meth. As Cynthia McFadden reports, Michael and Janelle's desperate calls to 911 are about to come to an abrupt end.
The last call comes in at 4:20 a.m.
Sarge County 911. Hey, Sarge, this is Mike Wamsley. I've just escaped. Please come get us. We're trying to find you. We don't know. You were in a shed. Now, you're out walking again? Yeah. It's okay now. I'll take care of it tomorrow.
The call is short, less than 2 minutes. There will be no more calls to 911. More than 12 hours after that first call came in, Sarpy County deputies finally locate their truck. Volunteers comb the area. The ground is now covered with more than a foot of snow.
Well, she was a hometown girl. She was going to school down here in Omaha. But there's a lot of people. It was a close-knit group out in the valley. And we just want to find her and bring her home.
I knew it was really cold. Big snowstorm. It's been a long time to be in that much cold.
Michael's body was found the next day. It took 6 difficult and heartbreaking days to find Janelle.
I called Mom and said, we have her. We found her.
The couple who in life were inseparable died alone and apart.
She was located at the base of this cliff. It's quite possible that she was walking south along the edge as they were walking, not knowing what was here. We come off this cliff with the crime scene tape represents where we located her body.
Michael Wamsley walked on, making that last call to 911, then collapsing about a half mile down this road. And one final mystery. Who were those people Michael says wouldn't help them, who didn't speak English? Captain Yost has a theory.
It's quite possible that he sees the cattle, hears the breathing of the cattle, and he thinks maybe these are people, and these people aren't helping him. They could be calling out for help and they're not responding. It's a guess.
Both Michael and Janelle had frozen to death, and both tested positive for crystal meth, methamphetamine, at levels that indicate they had taken the drug some 2 to 3 days earlier.
How do you feel about Michael now? Do you feel that Michael was in some way leading her in this path? Do you feel this was somehow his fault?
To our knowledge, no. He respected her. He was always kind to her. I don't know what happened.
I can't condemn him. We have nothing to prove anything, so we'd like to keep it that way. You know, I mean, if we don't find anything, I think he was a nice kid.
Gabby Zybert, Michael's mother, has a faded picture of Janelle from his wallet and a box containing the clothes he left behind in the truck the night he walked into the storm.
They lived for each other. They did. She wouldn't leave him behind, and he wouldn't leave her behind. That's how they were. It's like, you know, Romeo and Juliet. I mean, it was really a romance story, I think. You know, they loved each other very much. It's not supposed to happen this way. It's supposed to be the kid's supposed to marry their parents and not the other way around.
He loved Hannah, didn't he? I have a lot of unanswered questions that I want to get answered. Trying to look cool with her a little bit. I'll never have them answered until I see him again.
Meth and drugs wasn't Janelle's life. That wasn't her whole life.
If we can save one family from going through what we went through, it's worth it.
Operators had so much trouble locating Michael and Janelle because in 2005, Nebraska was one of 9 states without the most up-to-date tracking system for mobile phones. Like most areas of the country, Sarpy County, where Janelle and Michael were lost, has since updated their system.